An alien woman demanded my body, and I couldn't say no. My name is Bear, and I need you to hear this before you decide I've lost my mind. Because after what I've seen, after what I've lived through, I can't go back to who I was before that night. Everything changed when the sky broke open and she appeared. It didn't happen in some distant city with flashing lights and news reporters. No, it began in silence, on a lonely stretch of road where the forest pressed in tight and the stars looked closer than they should. I'd driven that route 100 times, never once expecting the impossible to find me. But fate has a cruel sense of humor. First came the sound. Not thunder, not an airplane, not anything human. A vibration deep enough to rattle the bones inside my chest. The air thickened, as if the world itself was holding its breath. And then I saw it, a streak of burning silver tearing across the sky, brighter than lightning, faster than thought. I braked so hard the tires screamed, and in the distance, beyond the tree line, something crashed. I should have turned back. Any sane person would have kept driving, told themselves it was just a meteor, just a trick of the night. But something pulled me forward. Curiosity, or maybe something stronger. The forest was darker than I remembered, each branch clawing at my jacket as if warning me to go home. But there was no turning back. I pushed through the undergrowth, my heartbeat keeping pace with the distant crackle of fire. The smell of scorched earth filled the air, and then I saw her. Not a wreckage, not twisted metal or smoking debris. Number. What stood in that clearing was her. A woman, at least that's what my mind told me at first, desperate to put her into some category I could understand. But nothing about her belonged to this earth. Her skin shimmered faintly, like starlight reflecting off water. Her eyes, God, her eyes, were twin galaxies, endless and terrifying. I froze. Every instinct screamed at me to run, yet my body betrayed me, rooted in place. She didn't move at first. She only looked at me, as if she had been waiting. And when she finally spoke, her lips never moved. The voice came from everywhere at once, inside my head and around me, soft yet commanding. I need your body. Those words cut through me sharper than any blade. Not a question, not a request, a demand. My body tensed, confusion wrestling with fear. What did she mean? Why me? I couldn't answer. I couldn't even breathe. Her gaze never wavered. There was no malice in it, no cruelty, but also no hesitation. It was the look of someone who had crossed galaxies not to ask, but to take. And yet in that moment, I didn't run. I couldn't. Because beneath the fear was something else. A pull, magnetic and undeniable, like my soul recognized hers even if my mind didn't. She wasn't here by accident. She hadn't chosen me at random. Somehow on this insignificant road, in this small and quiet life, I had been chosen. And the truth is, I couldn't say no. I didn't know it then. But those words, her demand, my silence, were the beginning of everything. The start of a bond that would rewrite who I was, what I believed, and what I thought it meant to be human. Her name was Loie, and this is the story of how one alien woman shattered my world, and why I let her. I remember every detail of that night, as if it has been carved into my mind with fire. The air was heavy, still trembling from whatever had brought her here. And all I could do was stand there, staring at the impossible. Her eyes were the first thing I noticed. Two blazing orbs that weren't just looking at me, but through me into the hidden places no one had ever touched. They glowed softly, shifting between hues I couldn't name, alive with a light that wasn't natural. It felt as though galaxies had condensed inside her gaze. And when that gaze landed on me, I knew my life had ceased to be my own. Then came her voice. Not spoken, not carried on breath or sound waves, but injected straight into the marrow of my bones. It was layered, gentle and harsh, soothing and sharp, as though 1,000 voices spoke in unison, yet resolved into one. It bypassed my ears completely, vibrating directly inside my skull. I need your body. No greeting, no explanation. Just those words colder than steel and yet burning hotter than fire. I froze, incapable of forming a reply. Every instinct demanded I run, but my feet refused to move. My chest tightened, my heart hammering like it wanted to escape. Fear tangled with something else, an undercurrent of awe, maybe even fascination. The figure before me was not a monster, not some grotesque beast from the depths of imagination. She was beautiful, painfully so, but in a way that unsettled me. Her shape resembled a woman's, but her skin shimmered faintly as if woven from starlight. It pulsed with colors that shifted whenever she breathed. Her hair, if you could call it hair, flowed like smoke, weightless, alive, drifting in patterns that defied gravity. Power radiated from her. Yet beneath that power was something I hadn't expected. Fragility. Her chest rose and fell unevenly, as if the atmosphere itself was suffocating her. Her body swayed with effort. She looked like someone who had traveled too far, carried too much, and arrived on the brink of collapse. That paradox, strength bound to weakness, command tied to desperation, rooted me in place. I wanted to ask 1,000 questions, but my tongue felt like lead. She must have sensed my paralysis because she stepped forward, closing the space between us. With each step, the ground seemed to hum. I could feel her presence pressing against me, thick as a tide pulling me under. "You will give it," she continued, though her lips still didn't move. Her voice curled through my skull like smoke. "Your form, your essence, it is the only way." What are you?" The words broke from me, ragged and weak. It was all I could manage. Her expression didn't change. She tilted her head slightly, as though studying an insect that had spoken back. Then, for the first time, something flickered across her face. Uncertainty. Maybe even pain. "I am Loie." Her name vibrated differently, not just a sound but a resonance that echoed across my chest, imprinting itself on me. It felt like more than a name. It was an identity, a declaration of being. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry as desert stone. Why me? Of all the questions, that was the only one that mattered. Why not someone stronger, braver, smarter? Why not a soldier or a scientist or someone whose existence actually carried weight? Why me, a man with no purpose beyond surviving each ordinary day? Her eyes flared brighter, and for a moment I thought she might answer. Instead, she raised her hand. It hovered inches from my face, not touching, yet the air between us sizzled. My skin prickled. Heat surged through my veins, my muscles trembling as though my body recognized something my mind could not. "You are compatible," she whispered inside me. "Your body will sustain me." The words cut deeper than any blade. I wasn't chosen for greatness. I wasn't special. I was simply compatible, like a tool, like a vessel. The insult of it twisted in me, stoking anger. Yet that anger was drowned by another feeling that terrified me even more. Curiosity. Because beneath her demand, beneath the icy precision of her tone, I heard something else. A trace of need. A fracture in her armor. She wasn't just here to take. She was here because without me, she wouldn't survive. I should have run. I should have screamed. But instead, I stepped closer. Not out of bravery, not out of defiance, but because something inside me whispered that if I turned away now, I would never forgive myself. Her breath shuddered as I neared. She wasn't invincible. Far from it. Up close, I saw cracks in her glow, fissures of weakness that rippled across her skin. She was powerful, yes, but she was also dying. "I don't understand," I said quietly, almost to myself. "What happens if I say no?" Her gaze hardened, galaxies shifting into storm clouds. "Then I perish, and your world follows." The words stunned me. They weren't a threat. They were a prophecy. I searched her face for deception, for manipulation, but found only exhaustion. That was the moment the scales tipped. Fear still gnawed at me, but it was no longer the loudest voice inside me. Curiosity, awe, and something stranger, an aching pull toward her, rose above it. Why me, out of 7 billion lives? I didn't know, but I couldn't walk away. She extended her hand again. This time I didn't flinch. My own hand lifted almost on its own, trembling, uncertain, yet drawn forward as if by gravity itself. Inches away from hers, I felt heat radiating, a pulse matching the rhythm of my heartbeat. Our fingers never touched, but the moment was enough. Energy surged between us, a current that lit up my nerves, setting every cell in my body alight. I gasped, staggered, overwhelmed by sensations I had no name for. My skin burned and froze all at once. My vision blurred, fractured into colors I'd never seen before. And through it all, her voice whispered again, softer this time, almost tender. "You are mine now, Bear." The forest around us seemed to vanish. The night itself bowed to the weight of her words. I was no longer just a man standing in the dark. I was part of something vast, something incomprehensible. Fear hadn't left me. Doubt still gnawed at my edges. But in that moment, staring into her eyes, feeling the power crackle between us, I realized the truth. It didn't matter why she had chosen me. It didn't matter if I was a vessel, a pawn, or something else entirely. Because from the second she spoke those first words, I was already hers. And the worst part, the part I couldn't admit even to myself, was that a piece of me didn't want to fight it. In the days that followed, I realized nothing about me was the same. My reflection betrayed me first. The man staring back had sharper lines, eyes that seemed brighter, veins that pulsed faintly with a glow that wasn't natural. My muscles thrummed with a strength I had never earned, a restless energy that made sleep nearly impossible. I could lift weights that had once crushed me. I could run until the horizon and not feel winded. But it wasn't just power, it was instability. My skin burned without fire, my hands shook without warning, and sometimes my vision fractured, showing me flashes of places that couldn't exist. Alien skies, towers of light, oceans made of glass. I was unraveling, even as I became something greater. And always she was there. Loie lingered like a shadow, never far, never allowing me to stray beyond her reach. At night when the world was silent, her presence pressed against my thoughts. She didn't always speak, but I felt her weight, her watchful gaze, her silent tether binding me to her. At first I hated it, the intrusion, the way she slipped into my mind without permission. I lashed out, demanded answers, demanded freedom, but every time I raised my voice, she stood calm, patient in a way that only infuriated me more. "You bound me without asking," I snapped one night, pacing the cabin I'd hidden us in. "You turned me into something I don't understand. You didn't give me a choice." Her eyes shimmered with that maddening calm, though I saw cracks of something deeper, weariness, regret. "You had a choice," she said softly. "You stayed. You touched my hand. That wasn't a choice. That was whatever you did to me. You invaded me." Her jaw tightened. For the first time, her voice sharpened, no longer the velvet tone that slipped into my skull. "You think I wanted this?" Her words rang, heavy and raw. "You think I wanted to be stranded on a world that poisons me, begging a stranger to keep me alive?" The silence that followed was suffocating. Her armor slipped for a moment, and I saw the truth. She wasn't some flawless conqueror. She was desperate. Her body, powerful as it appeared, trembled when the air grew too thick. The glow beneath her skin flickered faintly whenever she pushed herself too far. Without me, she would fade. And that was when she told me. Her people, she explained, were not built for Earth. Its air, its gravity, its chaotic energy tore at them like acid. To survive here, they required resonance, a bond with a native host whose body could anchor them. Not every human was suitable. Most would wither instantly. But my body, for reasons she wouldn't explain, was compatible. "We don't consume you," she whispered, sitting across from me in the dim light. "We join with you. Your form stabilizes us. Our essence strengthens you. It is emerging." The word settled heavy between us. Emerging. Not slavery, not parasitism. Something in between. Something uncomfortably close to intimacy. I didn't want to believe her, yet every change in me proved her right. My strength, my visions, my burning nerves, all of it came from her. And though I fought the thought, a part of me craved it. The rush of power, the glimpse into something beyond human. It was intoxicating. But the more I relied on her, the more I hated myself. Nights bled into days as our bond deepened. We argued often. I accused her of manipulation. She accused me of denial. But beneath the venom was something neither of us could smother: connection. I caught myself watching her when I shouldn't. The way her eyes dimmed when she was tired. The way her voice softened, almost human, when she said my name. Sometimes she would stand outside staring at the sky with an expression that was both longing and grief. And I wanted, God help me, I wanted to reach for her. And she wasn't immune either. I saw it in her hesitation. In the rare moments her hand lingered too close to mine. For all her strength, for all her alien authority, she was just as tangled in this as I was. It terrified me, because what we had wasn't simple. It wasn't love, not yet. It wasn't just survival either. It was something messier, darker. Every time she brushed my thoughts, I felt pieces of her inside me, memories of worlds I couldn't comprehend, grief for a people who had sent her here, fear of failing them. And she felt me in return, my doubts, my anger, my unwanted attraction. There were no secrets anymore. We were raw, exposed, entangled. One night, unable to stand it, I asked, "What am I to you, Loie? A vessel? A tool? Or something more?" She didn't answer at first. Her gaze lingered on me, sharp and unreadable. Then finally she said, "You are what I need." The simplicity of it cut deeper than a lie ever could. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her. But doubt clawed at me endlessly. Was this bond shaping my feelings, twisting them until I couldn't tell where I ended and she began? Was the pull between us real, or just biology masquerading as destiny? The line blurred further every day. When she was near, my body steadied, my strength surged. When she drifted too far, I shook with weakness, my veins burning as if crying out for her. Dependency grew, and I hated it. But I also hated how much I wanted her there. Love, survival, manipulation. They tangled together until I couldn't untie them. The conflict simmered inside me, unspoken yet ever present. I didn't know if I was saving her or if she was remaking me. I only knew one thing for certain: we were bound now, in ways deeper than flesh, deeper than choice. And whether it was destiny or disaster, I couldn't let her go. Because the truth was simple and terrifying. Without her, I was no longer whole. I thought the worst of it was behind me, that the confusion, the fear, the gnawing questions about what Loie had done to me were all I'd have to wrestle with. But the truth, the real truth, was far heavier. It came like a storm breaking through a fragile roof, and once it began, there was no way back. It started one night when I woke to find Loie standing outside the cabin, motionless, her face tilted toward the stars. She wasn't just staring, she was listening. I could feel it through our bond, the faint hum of a signal, voices not meant for human ears, brushing against her consciousness. "Who are you talking to?" I asked, stepping out into the cold. Her body stiffened. For a moment she didn't answer, and I felt her hesitate, not in words but in the pulse of our connection. That hesitation told me everything. She had been keeping something from me. Finally she turned, her eyes glowing faintly. "They are my kin." They watched from above. My stomach nodded. "They're here? You mean more of you?" "Yes," she said. "They are waiting." Watching, I should have been relieved. Proof that I wasn't insane, that I hadn't hallucinated her out of loneliness. But instead, dread settled over me like a weight. If there were more like her, what did they want with us? "They're not here for peace, are they?" Her silence was louder than an answer. I stepped closer, my voice sharp with anger I couldn't contain. "Tell me, Loie, why are they here?" Her gaze flickered. Regret, sorrow, defiance all tangled together. Then she spoke words that shattered what little certainty I had left. "They will come, Bear. If I fail, they will not ask. They will take. They will claim this world for their own." The ground seemed to tilt beneath me. I staggered back, shaking my head. "You knew. You've known since the beginning." Her face twisted in something close to grief. "I told you, I needed your body. But not only for my survival. You are a test, a bridge. If we can merge, if we can coexist, then my people will see that humans are not enemies. That you can be partners, not prey partners. Not prey. The words scraped against my chest, raw and brutal. All this time I thought it was about her, about us. But no, it was about them. About billions of lives weighed in the balance of whether one broken man and one stranded alien woman could prove harmony was possible. I laughed, the sound hollow and bitter. So that's it? My body isn't just a vessel, it's a stage, and the whole damn planet is the audience. She flinched but didn't deny it. The rage inside me flared hot. You should have told me, from the beginning. I could not, she whispered, stepping closer. You would have run. You would have refused. And then, this world would already be ash. Her words cut, not because they were cruel, but because they were true. If she had told me everything that first night, I would have fled. I would have convinced myself she was a monster, an invader. But now it was too late. The bond was real, and I couldn't undo it. Still, anger burned through me. You used me, Loie. You bound me to you, without asking, and now you tell me I'm supposed to save the whole damn species? Why me? Why not someone stronger, smarter, someone who actually matters? Her voice cracked, low and fierce. Because you matter to me. I froze. The words hung between us, heavy and dangerous. For a long time, neither of us moved. The forest around us whispered. The stars burned cold above, and the truth pressed harder than any weight I'd ever carried. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But doubt tore at me. Was that her heart speaking, or was it the bond manipulating my emotions, twisting them into something that felt like love, but might only be survival dressed in longing? My fists clenched. If I say no, if I refuse, what happens? Her gaze darkened. Then they descend. They burn your cities, strip your oceans, and silence every voice. Humanity will vanish, and I will vanish with it. It was the closest she had ever come to pleading. I turned away, my thoughts a storm. She asked me to surrender, not just my body, but everything I was, my life, my choices, my identity, to give myself over to a cause that wasn't mine, for a people I had never known. But if I didn't, I would be condemning the world I loved. The irony was cruel. I had never felt like much of a man worth saving, yet suddenly the fate of an entire species hinged on me, on us, on this fragile, volatile bond neither of us fully understood. When I finally spoke, my voice was raw. So this is it. I give myself to you, or Earth dies. She stepped forward, her hand trembling as it reached for mine. For once, her power seemed small, fragile. Her glow dimmed, her shoulders heavy. She wasn't a conqueror now, just a woman, alien and broken, begging for trust. No, she whispered, it is not surrender. It is union. Together we are stronger than either world alone. Her words struck deep, because despite my anger, despite my doubt, a part of me knew she was right. The changes in me, the visions, the strength, they weren't just corruption, they were possibility. A fusion of two species that had never before touched. I closed my eyes, the weight of the decision pressing down until I could barely breathe. To accept her fully meant giving up the last fragments of the man I once was. To refuse meant the end of everything. When I opened my eyes, I found her staring at me. Galaxies swirling in her gaze, waiting for the answer that would decide the future of two worlds. And for the first time since the night we met, I understood. Her demand for my body wasn't just survival, it was hope, a symbol, a bridge. But symbols come with sacrifice, and I wasn't sure if I was strong enough to pay the cost. The night of decision came with no warning. One moment I was pacing the cabin, torn between anger and despair, and the next the stars themselves split open. Above the forest the sky shimmered, not with the fire of meteors but with the silent presence of ships. Colossal shadows etched against the heavens. They weren't cloaked anymore. They weren't hiding. Loie's people had grown tired of waiting. Loie stood beside me, her glow flickering like a candle in the wind. I felt her fear, sharp and undeniable, pressing through our bond. For all her strength, she was small compared to the storm descending. They will decide now, she whispered, her voice trembling inside me, whether your world lives or burns. Her words carved into me, heavy as stone. I knew then that hesitation was no longer an option. I had been dragged into this war without choosing it, yet now I stood at the center of it. If I faltered, Earth would pay the price. I turned to her, fury still smoldering, but tempered now by something else. Resolve. If I do this, Loie, it's not submission. I won't be your vessel. I won't be your tool. This is partnership, or nothing. Her eyes widened, galaxies swirling in them, as if the universe itself stirred. For the first time she bowed her head, not in defeat, but in acknowledgement. Then partnership, she said softly, equal, as it was meant to be. The words didn't erase the pain or the betrayal, but they gave me something I hadn't had since the night this all began. Choice. I reached for her hand. This time I wasn't pulled by fear or manipulated by need. This time, it was mine to give. The instant our fingers touched, the bond flared open wider than ever before. Energy surged through me, brighter than lightning, hotter than fire. My veins became rivers of starlight. My heartbeat fused with hers. And for one staggering moment, I saw everything. Her memories, her people drifting above, their judgment hanging like a blade. And she saw me, my grief, my failures, my stubborn refusal to bend. We collided, not body to body, but essence to essence. It was not surrender. It was union. The ground quaked beneath us. The forest lit with unearthly fire. Above, the vast silhouettes of the alien ships flickered, hesitated, as if the bond we had forged rippled through their unseen instruments. Loie gasped, her body blazing brighter than I had ever seen, but steadier now, stronger. My strength fed hers, her energy stabilized mine, and together we became something neither of us could have been alone. Through the bond, I felt the watching presence of her superiors, immense, cold, calculating. They probed at our connection, searching for cracks, expecting failure. But instead of collapse, they found harmony, not domination, not parasitism, something new. For the first time, I felt their hesitation. Their warship lights dimmed, their silence stretched. They hadn't expected this. They see us, Loie whispered, her voice alive with wonder and exhaustion. They did not believe it possible, but now they know. And then, like a tide receding, the weight of their attention pulled back. The ships did not descend. The invasion did not begin. Earth was spared, if only for now. The silence that followed was deafening. I collapsed to my knees, gasping, my body trembling from the weight of what we'd done. Loie knelt beside me, her hand still in mine, her glow softer now, almost tender. "You did it," I said, though my voice cracked. "No," she whispered, pressing her forehead to mine. "We did it." The words warmed me more than the fire in my veins. For the first time, I believed them. We stayed there until the night deepened, until the stars above seemed less like judges and more like witnesses. The threat wasn't gone. Her people would still watch, still weigh, still doubt, and others on Earth, if they ever learned the truth, might see me not as a savior, but as a traitor. But none of that mattered in that moment, because I finally understood what this bond meant. It wasn't about survival alone. It wasn't about being used. It was about becoming more. Two beings who should never have touched, finding strength in each other. The road ahead was uncertain, fragile as glass. One mistake, one betrayal, and everything could collapse into fire and ruin. But for now, we had bought time. We had bought hope. I looked into Loie's eyes, galaxies spinning endless and fierce, and I felt a strange peace. "She demanded my body," I said softly, more to myself than to her. My voice trembled, but my heart was steady. But what she truly took was my soul. And in that truth, I finally accepted who we were. Not alien, not human, not enemies, not yet lovers. Something else entirely, something new, the beginning of a fragile future.